The next 15 seconds are going to determine whether you stay broke or start building actual wealth. Your paycheck just hit your account. Right now, in this exact moment, most people are already mentally spending that money on stuff they don't need, haven't even thought about saving, and are about to repeat the same financial mistakes they made last month and the month before that. This brief window, these few seconds right after payday, separates people who build wealth from people who wonder where all their money went. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do every single time you get paid. This routine will put you ahead of 90% of people financially, and it's not complicated. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Knowing what to do means absolutely nothing if you don't actually do it. So let's get into the system that actually works. Most people have no idea where their money goes. Sure, they know about rent and food and maybe a few subscriptions they forgot to cancel. But ask them to account for every dollar that came in last month and left their account, and they'll look at you like you just asked them to solve a calculus equation. They're living in complete financial chaos, sleepwalking through life with zero control over their money. And the crazy part? They think this is normal. Paychecks get treated like surprise birthday gifts. Oh, look! Money appeared in my account. Let me go spend it on something fun. Then 2 weeks later, they're scraping by until the next payday, wondering why they're always broke despite having a decent job. Meanwhile, people who are actually building wealth have a completely different relationship with their paycheck. They see it as future financial freedom chopped into monthly installments. Every dollar has a job, and that job gets assigned the moment the money arrives. Here's the fundamental mistake that keeps people trapped. They pay their bills first, spend money on whatever they want throughout the month, and then try to save whatever's left over at the end. Guess how much is usually left over? Exactly zero. There's always something else to buy, always another expense that pops up, always a reason why this month is different, and next month you'll definitely start saving. Except next month never comes. Wealthy people flip this entire process backwards. They pay themselves first. Before the bills, before the fun money, before anything else, they take a chunk of that paycheck and move it directly into savings and investments. This isn't some feel-good motivational advice. This is literally how wealth gets built. The system matters more than the income. Someone making $50,000 a year who saves 10% consistently will end up richer than someone making $100,000 who spends everything. The difference isn't the paycheck size, it's what happens in those first 15 seconds after it arrives. So let's break down exactly what you need to do, step by step, every single payday without exception. First thing, you need to know your necessities percentage. Not what you think you need, not what feels necessary. Your actual true cannot survive without them necessities. We're talking housing, basic food to keep you alive, transportation to get to work, essential utilities so you don't freeze or starve, and healthcare so you don't die from preventable diseases. That's it. Notice what's not on that list. Your premium cable package with 700 channels you never watch. The gym membership you haven't used since February. 4 different streaming services because you can't decide which shows you actually care about. Daily Starbucks runs that cost more per month than some people's car payments. None of that is a necessity. That's lifestyle inflation disguised as normal life. Here's the test. If you lost your job tomorrow and had to survive on bare minimum, what would you actually need to pay? Most people are shocked when they do this math honestly. They discover they've been labeling wants as needs for so long they forgot the difference. Your necessities should be somewhere around 60% or less of your take-home pay. If you're higher than that, you've got a problem. Either your cost of living is too high for your income, or you're lying to yourself about what counts as essential. Let's make this concrete. Say you bring home about $4,700 per month after taxes. Your rent is $1,800. Car payment is $400. Food is $500. That's $2,700, about 57% of your income. That works. But if you're sitting here thinking your $800 car payment is a necessity because you really like that vehicle, we need to have a different conversation. You don't need a luxury car, you need transportation. There's a massive difference, and that difference is why you're broke. Once you've got your necessities locked down, next step is staying current on all your debt payments. Before you spend a single dollar on anything fun or optional, you make sure every debt payment is made on time. Not most of them, not the ones you remember, all of them, every single time. Your credit score is either opening doors for you or slamming them in your face for the next several decades of your life. People don't realize how much a credit score impacts everything: mortgage rates, car loans, apartment applications, sometimes even job opportunities. A bad credit score can cost you tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime in higher interest rates alone. And here's the brutal part. It doesn't matter if you've made 98% of your payments on time. Miss a few payments, even just one or two, and your score tanks. The credit system doesn't care about your overall track record. It punishes mistakes hard and fast. So the rule is simple: minimum payments, on time, every time. No exceptions, no excuses, no "I'll catch up next month" nonsense. If you can't afford the minimum payments on your current debt load, you have an emergency that needs fixing immediately, not a budgeting problem you can ignore. Now we get to something most people completely skip: the emergency fund. This is money you set aside for when life punches you in the face unexpectedly. Car breaks down, medical emergency, roof starts leaking, lose your job. Any of 1,000 things that will absolutely happen eventually, because that's how life works. You need 3 to 6 months of living expenses sitting in a completely liquid, easily accessible account. Using our earlier example where necessities run about $2,700 per month, your emergency fund target is somewhere between $8,000 and $16,000. I know that sounds like a lot. It is a lot. That's the point. This money isn't for vacations or impulse purchases or because you saw something shiny you wanted. This is your financial shock absorber that keeps unexpected problems from destroying your entire financial life. And here's what you don't do with emergency fund money: invest it in stocks. Put it in crypto. Lock it in a CD you can't access without penalties. Buy gold bars and bury them in your backyard. Emergency funds need to be boring and accessible. High-yield savings account, government-insured, money market account at worst. Somewhere you can get the cash within 24 hours without losing value or paying penalties. The whole point is stability and access, not maximum returns. Once you've got your necessities covered, debt payments current, and emergency fund building, now we get to the part that actually builds wealth: retirement investing. And before you tell me you're too young to worry about retirement, or you'll start next year, or whatever excuse is forming in your brain right now, let me hit you with some math that should terrify you into action. If you start investing $300 per month at age 25, assuming reasonable market returns of about 8% annually, you'll have roughly $1 million by age 65. Start that same investment at age 35 instead just 10 years later, and you'll have about $400,000. Same monthly amount, same returns, 10-year delay. That delay cost you $600,000. $600,000. That's not a rounding error. That's a completely different life in retirement. The absolute highest priority in retirement investing is your employer match, if you have one. This is literally free money. Your company is offering to double your contribution up to a certain percentage. If your employer matches 3% and you're not contributing at least 3%, you're turning down free money. That's not being conservative with your finances. That's just leaving cash on the table. Here's how this actually works. Let's say you make $60,000 per year. Your employer offers a 3% match. You contribute 3%, which is $1,800 annually. Your employer also puts in $1,800. You just got $3,600 invested for the cost of $1,800. That's an instant 100% return before the market does anything. You cannot beat that anywhere else legally. Aim for about 10% of your gross income going toward retirement consistently. Between your contribution and any employer match, hit that 10% mark. If you can't do 10% right away, start with whatever you can and increase it by 1% every 6 months until you get there. The key is starting and being consistent, not achieving perfection immediately. And please, for the love of everything, don't let analysis paralysis stop you from starting. People waste months researching the perfect investment strategy, reading 700 articles about which index funds have slightly lower expense ratios, trying to time the market, and meanwhile, they're not investing anything at all. Simple diversified index funds work fine for 99% of people. Pick something reasonable and start. You can optimize later after you've built the habit. Now let's talk about debt beyond just making minimum payments. You've got two main approaches here: avalanche method or snowball method. Avalanche means paying off your highest interest rate debts first, which mathematically saves you the most money. Snowball means paying off your smallest debts first, regardless of interest rate, which gives you psychological wins faster. I prefer snowball. Yeah, I know the math says avalanche is optimal, but humans aren't spreadsheets. We need motivation and momentum. Paying off that small credit card completely feels like progress. It keeps you going. You get a win, you feel accomplished, you stay committed to the process. Avalanche might save you a few $100 in interest, but if it makes you give up halfway through because you don't feel like you're making progress, you lose way more than you saved. Pick one method. Stick with it. Don't hop between strategies every other month because you read a new article. Consistency beats optimization every single time when it comes to behavior change. After you've got employer retirement match maximized and debt payments aggressive, now you can start thinking about additional investment accounts. Roth IRAs are incredible if you're eligible. You contribute after-tax money, but every single dollar of growth and all future withdrawals are completely tax-free. You put in money you already paid taxes on, it grows for decades, and when you pull it out in retirement, the government doesn't touch it. Regular taxable brokerage accounts also have their place. Yeah, you pay capital gains taxes, but if you hold investments for more than a year, you get preferential long-term capital gains rates which are way lower than normal income tax rates. The wealthy use these accounts heavily because they understand the tax advantages of holding investments long-term rather than constantly trading and triggering short-term capital gains. Here's the thing about all these steps I just laid out. They're simple, but not easy. The hard part isn't understanding what to do. The hard part is actually doing it every single payday for months and years while your friends are buying stuff and going on trips and looking like they're living better than you. They're not. They're broke with nice Instagram photos. You're building actual wealth they can't see. And this brings us to the most important step that makes everything else actually work: automation. You cannot rely on willpower and discipline to manually move money around every time you get paid. Willpower is a finite resource that gets depleted by Tuesday afternoon when your boss annoyed you and you're tired and you just want to order takeout and watch Netflix. If your financial system requires you to consciously make good decisions when you're exhausted and stressed, you're going to fail. Automation removes you from the equation. Money moves automatically whether you're motivated or not, whether you're having a good day or terrible day, whether you remember or forget. Paycheck hits your account, sits there for one day to make sure everything clears, then automatic transfers start happening. Money goes to savings account. Money goes to emergency fund. Money goes to investment accounts. Money goes to tax savings if you're self-employed. All of it happens without you touching anything. This is how you beat your own psychology. Your brain wants immediate gratification and will rationalize reasons why you can spend money today instead of saving it. Automation doesn't have a brain. It just executes. No emotions, no excuses, no "I'll do it later" delays. The money disappears into the right accounts before you have a chance to spend it on dumb stuff. But here's the mistake people make with automation that sabotages everything. They set it up once and never touch it again. You get a raise, your automated transfers stay the same, and suddenly you're spending all that extra income instead of investing it. You pay off a debt. That payment amount could go toward investments now, but it doesn't because you never updated your automation. Your automation should evolve with your financial situation. Every time something changes, income goes up, debt gets eliminated, whatever, you adjust your automated transfers to capture that progress. Here's what this looks like in real life over 5 years. Year 1, you're following the system. It feels hard. You're not seeing dramatic results, but you're consistent. Year 2, emergency fund is fully funded. You're starting to see investment accounts grow. Debt is shrinking. Year 3, maybe a debt or two, is completely gone. Your investment accounts are getting serious. You're feeling actual momentum. Year 4, you've got substantial savings. Investments are working. You're way ahead of where you started. Year 5, you've built real wealth while most of your peers are still living paycheck to paycheck, wondering where their money went. The system isn't flashy. It's not going to make you rich overnight. It's not some secret the wealthy don't want you to know. It's boring, methodical, consistent allocation of money toward your future instead of instant gratification today. But it works. It works for everyone who actually does it. Not everyone who knows about it, everyone who implements it and sticks with it. Your paycheck is either a tool that builds the life you want, or it's just money that passes through your account on its way to someone else. The difference is what you do in those first 15 seconds after it arrives. Most people waste that moment. You don't have to be most people. Set up the automation. Follow the steps. Pay yourself first. Let compound interest and consistency do the heavy lifting. 5 years from now, you'll either wish you'd started today, or you'll be grateful you did. The choice is happening right now, whether you realize it or not.